Okay, we're good to go.
Great, thank you. Welcome to the Human Rights Commission meeting. I'm going to read my spiel to everyone. Let's see, let me just move my thing over. This meeting is being recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law.
Hannah, can you hold on 1 second? All right, the webinar just went live. Did you hit that, Ryan? Okay, somebody did. It was in a practice session. Can you just, I'm so sorry. Can you just start again? We're live now.
Okay, yeah, sure. This is the Human Rights Commission meeting on June 14th at 5:31. And this meeting is being recorded by video and audio in accordance with state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 25 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. The public may not physically attend this meeting, but every effort will be made to the public to view and listen to the meeting in real time. Additionally, all votes taken by the Gloucester Human Rights Commission during this and further remote meetings will be roll call vote. If you're calling in on a phone, you can press *9 to request to speak. If you're watching on a computer or device, there's a raise hand button that you can tap or press to request to speak. Please use either of these options during oral communications to be recognized to speak. All members of the commission should turn on their video if possible when voting so that their faces can be seen. If voting by video, members should turn on their video when they vote. If voting by phone, members must identify themselves. No voting by text or in any other manner, only by video or verbally by phone. Members of the public who speak at the meeting must provide their name and address in order to speak on any matter that comes forward on the agenda. All right. So let's do a roll call. I have something in front of me, Holly, that says this is being recorded. Oh, I'm consenting to being recorded. I've never seen that before. Okay. Yes, I consent.
I think you're muted.
I saw a couple of different things tonight. I'm not sure if maybe it's a newer version of this.
Exciting new features from Zoom.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have Holly, Doug. Well, let me just introduce our members first. Tony Borge, Mayuza Alves, Sarah Peck, Nikki Rishon Scholl, Jennifer Beloff, and myself, Hannah Kimberly. We also have Holly Doug Willow here, Jen Holgram, Krishna Basu, and Ryan Knowles. All righty. And we want to review the minutes from May 17th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Oh, I have an edit to make on it.
Okay.
It implies I was there and I was absent from the meeting.
Okay. I will write that down. Thank you. All right. And roll call to approve the minutes. Tony?
Approve.
Mayuza?
Second.
Sarah?
Approved.
Nikki?
Approved.
And Jennifer?
Yes.
And Hannah, yes. All right. So we get to start off by welcoming Ryan Knowles. Hi, Ryan. Ryan is here to talk to us about our translation device pilot. He is the Director of Information Services. So tell us what to do, Ryan.
Well, I think that the question is more, what problem are you trying to solve? As opposed to just throwing a solution out there. But, you know, I'd be, because I think that was my main question when I kind of was looking at the request to buy the translation device, which, you know, as I kind of said in the return email, I'm not by any means saying we shouldn't do. I just want to make sure that we're not just buying something that's gonna, there, as the IT director, there are many $300 devices sitting in drawers that people
Yeah,
hand to me from time to time and say, what's this? And I say, I have no idea. And I go and look it up what it is, and it was something that someone bought 5 years ago. And then I said, I don't know, it looks like someone bought this 5 years ago to do something, to, you know, transcribe minutes or to read water meters. And they said, oh yeah, I think someone said something to me about that. We never used it though. So, you know, it's
Right.
I'd rather put $300 in an envelope in a drawer somewhere. And, you know,
You have a lot of money in 5 years. So I think, well, what we were thinking, and anyone else is free to jump in as well, was that folks who come to City Hall, there aren't necessarily people there who speak their same language. So we had the idea of the translation device as a way of translating for folks. Does anyone else want to jump in?
Do you remember, like, originally when we were discussing some of the needs for translation, this was part of a more comprehensive package of like services that like Gloucester Human Rights would try and promote. So one would be a physical device for somebody that came in and actually needed a translation like at the minute. But the more, the other piece of it was that we would be utilizing like Microsoft Translation, which is like integrated into all the Microsoft Teams and everything at this point, to like translate some of like the top pages in the Gloucester web pages. So like looking at like the top 10 to 25 pages and making those available in the other prominent languages in Gloucester, Spanish, Portuguese, maybe others. But I think it was part of a more comprehensive suite originally.
yeah, and the thought is that, and that especially now as we're opening up, is that, that we do have people, even though the majority of languages that are spoken outside of English are Spanish and Portuguese, but we do have a small bubble of, residents that speak other languages that who may come in. And of course it, that how for communication purposes, and by having like that one, instead of having each department have it, so that, like it would be at perhaps at a central location, and somebody comes in, they go into the city clerk's office and they have somebody who speaks Arabic and they need to have the translator. So that then the translator would go to the city clerk's office to be used. So that way, otherwise, we all know that people can use their phones and they do translation, but it's certainly not, it's challenging.
So I guess a follow-up question is, when you're talking about translation, I mean, I think there are a couple different types that might, so are you talking about words on a piece of paper or a screen, or are you talking about someone's calling in on the phone, or someone's standing there and talking to somebody and they need real-time speaking translation? I guess those are some of the kind of follow-up questions, because I think that device, I think, does a couple of different things, and it seems like it does some better than others. So
my understanding was that it was so that people coming to see this particular part of the project, of people coming to City Hall to access city services, could have immediate assistance. So I guess it would be the latter. That's what I think.
someone talking.
Speak it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess, I think that device seems like it does a good job with the talking part of translation, probably better than a phone would. I actually think that the vice versa is true for if you need something written translated. I think actually Google Translate, especially with the phone overlay these days, actually does a better job. It seems like, again, from looking a little more into that device with the algorithm that's used, that does a better job with written translation. I don't know about real-time spoken translation. So yeah, as I was saying, I think that the only other piece that I think is important here would be buy-in and kind of like floating the idea with the clerk's office. If that's where we want to pilot it, that's fine. I just want to make sure that they are, one, aware of it, that we want to pilot it with them, and they may well be already, that's fine.
Out of curiosity, do you, Ryan, everybody at City Hall have the full Microsoft suite, including Microsoft Teams?
We use Google Workspace.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So I mean, we do have like Office, obviously, and such on the computers individually installed.
Let me ask because I mean, increasingly my org is using Microsoft Teams and it has real-time live translation in multiple languages that are pretty fascinating and fairly accurate. I don't know if Google Workspace has a similar functionality, but it could be that would be an in-house solution if everybody within City Hall had that access. If there was like a resistance to this device.
Works. Yeah, Google Translate does work in that capacity.
Well, and again, I think, we have several educators, or well, we all in some ways are educators, is that whenever anything new and, for resistance, of course, is, the kind of training that goes in. And of course, and also thinking about resistance where people are saying, well, we only have one person, or we never have anybody that walks in with these different languages. So it just is, it's a lot of, and I imagine the training would, it wouldn't be challenging to use the device. But that's where a lot of it is, and sitting down and explaining, and I don't know whether it's in regards to open meeting law, that having, a couple of us from the commission come and meet with, people in City Hall and talk about the project and talk about what we're doing and why it's being done. And, and the goal is it really helps them, because they provide, they know they want to serve the community. And this way it helps that they can serve, people who don't speak English.
Yeah, I mean, I think that so I think that really first step would be to actually propose it to, if you want to use the clerks, just propose, come up with something that's like an actual, I don't know, it's written, a presentation, whatever, you guys can choose the media for how that's kind of raised to the office there, and then pitch it and propose it to them. And, I am glad to facilitate from my end. We have a couple of different options. I mean, we could test real-time translation with the Google Translate, and I have many phones in my office, spare, that are like an iPhone 11, kind of phone, not like the first iPhone ever made kind of thing. So glad to supply one of those if we want to have that be the translation phone, and then I mean, I think that the real test will be to have someone who actually speaks one of these languages come in and try it, and only speak that language, and have the clerk hold the phone up and see if what's coming out, because I think about if we do that in a kind of tiered fashion, that's free, I mean, we don't, I have a phone, Google Translate as part of the Google suite of apps is there, and all that stuff is in place, and we can try that. And if they say, yeah, it came out with a bunch of gibberish, or I don't know, pick a couple, pick the top 3 or something, chances, or including maybe a non one without a kind of Roman script, whether that's Arabic or whether that's Azerbaijani or whatever particular language it might be, that's something that's spoken, so because I think that's because, I mean, Spanish is something that's pretty widely spoken and pretty widely used. So it'll be interesting to see something that was a little less common, run through and see how that came out again, because I think that will be a good kind of test. And if they say it was gibberish and I didn't understand anything, couldn't make out what they were asking for, then maybe it's a better idea to pilot a device.
Yeah, and I think that's a great idea, because nothing worse than, all of a sudden something comes in and people that are going to use it haven't felt like they've been, part of the discussion, and so, because there'll maybe, questions or other kinds of things, that feedback that we get from them, but because we want people to use it, but we also don't want, people, like, wait a minute, now you've never talked to us about, what we think, and, how we can also best serve the residents who don't speak English. So I think that's a great idea. And just to follow up in regards to like what can we do as the Human Rights Commission, given with the open meeting laws and meeting, I suppose maybe if we did it an individual, or isn't it what we can't, if we're in groups of 3, Is that like when it consists as a meeting or, so, I mean, if
A
we just
quorum.
a quorum, so, I mean, we certainly, you know, can have, you know, maybe one or two of us come in and meet, you know, with, you know, like the city clerk's office. That's what I think is appropriate.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that that's when, you know, if you come up with a kind of recommendation or proposal and, you know, please feel free to pass it to me. And because I spend most of my week getting buy-in on new technology from various city departments. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very difficult. So, you know, I know that you say, look, a new piece of technology for you to use that's going to make your life easier, and like everyone groans and it's like, no way, it's not going to. I know it's not going to. It's hard. It's going to have a learning curve, and all that's true. But I think that, you know, I have a lot of experience, both as a you know, talk about folks here come from a pedagogical background. I'm not an IT person by trade. For a little history, I actually have a PhD in religious studies, so totally background and a lot of pedagogy, but decided to switch gears 5 years ago. So
You fit in perfectly here. That's Gloucester all over the place.
Yeah.
We do everything here.
Yeah, and I think, you know,
Right.
and, you know, and as we're working, because oftentimes people will say, you know, just in general, like, well, we, you know, what are the numbers of people that we get? We don't have them in, but it's almost like, you know, like the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. If people know, and, you know, that's where words of mouth gets out, you know, oh, wait a minute, you can go to City Hall and you can get your questions answered. And then, but it's, yeah, so it's like working, you know, I think it'll be great. And also, again, when people, you know, get the buy-in that we've thought of, and and again, thank you, Ryan, for bringing that up, that, you know, being inclusive of people who are doing the job of serving the public.
Okay. Can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
I
Yep.
got thrown out for some reason.
Yes.
So do we want to start with that? What shall our first steps be, to contact the clerk's office?
Hannah, just a quick thing. Somebody was trying to pop on as you also with your name. I'm not sure who it was. Did you forward your link to somebody maybe that we wanted to be on the committee?
Michelle, she couldn't get on with her link.
Okay, so she was trying to get on as you, so I think that might have thrown you off.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. When can we stop Zooming?
I think we same thing. Would you like me to get in touch with the clerk's office? Like, do you want to loop me in somehow?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, and I think, you know, you know, find out if, you know, and just like for a start off, maybe with just like a little meet and greet, you know, and talk about what the work that we're doing in, you know, and I think that would be
All right.
So Holly, can I ask you a question? So
Sure.
my thing that invites me that says panelists for Human Rights Commission, and it says click here to join. That's what I copied and sent to Michelle.
That's unique to you, Hannah. So the somebody who's coming in from the outside, if you hold on 1 second, I'm not sure what I'll do with the link if I copy it. There's a specific link for the public, and then we allow them in.
Shall I send you her email
then-
address?
Hannah, maybe you could send her the public link and then Holly can let her in.
Let me send
Is that
that to you
easier?
real quick, Hannah. That way because I have your email. So I'll send it to you and then you can forward it right along.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on 1 second.
Tony, I don't have your email address, but would you come with me to the city clerk's office? I mean, certainly, you know, one or two other people could too, if you want to, but let's meet up, or let's talk about it offline, and we can figure out a time.
perfect.
I'll
But,
send
do you-
Tony's address to you, Jen.
Awesome. Okay, thank you, Hannah. All right.
Before we leave the world of notifications, I wonder if it would be possible to send out a link, you know, for us and for the public, as has been happening, but on the morning of the meeting, because I had to go back I don't know, through how many emails to find it. And by then, as you could see, I was late dialing in, so that would be helpful if we could do that.
Okay. I could do that. Well, yeah. Your links are unique, so I can't do that. Holly, did you email me? the link?
Yep, I just sent it.
We can start in September meeting in person, is that true?
Yeah, actually, I think we can meet now with our small group, and then as long as we're still streaming it. So somehow we have to do both.
Okay. For some reason, I'm not getting your email, Holly.
All right, I'm gonna forward it one more time.
So we could meet, what, at City Hall and then be Zoomed at the same time?
I believe so.
That would
The $1 million question.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it hasn't been done yet, right?
Well,
No one's
that's,
asked me yet, but I'm hoping that they do this at some point, because I'm glad to set it up, but there's a medium to large amount of like setup to have it be simultaneously
Yeah.
live on Zoom and not. But yeah, I have not heard any official word from anyone that that is what we're doing. So once I do, I'll set it up.
Yeah.
Did you get
I
that,
think
Hannah?
that-
I sent it both to you and to the Human Rights.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just,
I did that actually, Ryan, with another group, and the people were actually on site, present. They sounded like they were talking from inside a cave or a tunnel somewhere, and all the Zoom conversation was very clear. So I can imagine it will not be the easiest thing to resolve that.
Yeah, I mean, I've got some good resources that
Good.
I've been testing it all along because I knew this was
Yeah.
coming at some point. So I think we'll have the pieces in place. It just we need a test group to do it, and we need some official decision that that's what we're actually doing, so that people can start booking where we're going to do it and when and so forth.
Great, thank you.
okay, so we'll go back to so Jen and Tony, you all will go. Mayuza, maybe you could go and test in Portuguese.
Yep, I'm in.
Okay.
Thank you. And Mayuza, I think I have your. Okay.
I'll
Yeah,
send you
set it
I'll send you Mayuza's as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, Ryan, thank you. So we'll start off with this and then maybe reconnect with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like I said, I think that maybe just float it to the clerks first, just see how they feel, see what their kind of initial reaction is, and then maybe from there, let me know, and I can, like I said, I'm glad to facilitate with some of the technology, whether it's a phone or iPad or whatever makes the most sense. We can probably try both, because maybe it'd be easier to read on an iPad than or it'll feel less like disconnected than, having your phone up in front of your face like that when you're talking to someone. Maybe you can have the iPad down like that. You could be like that. The microphone's usually sensitive enough to pick up. So, just reconnect. Just let me know what the kind of, what you hear and what the kind of reaction is, and if you need some assistance goading them along, because one of many departments that I'm used to pushing a little bit when it comes to use of technology at work. So
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
of course, I'm glad I remembered this time and decided to show up.
We are too. No worries. Brian,
gonna
you're
get
welcome to
going
stay
soon.
for the rest of the
Thank
meeting, but there's no pressure to.
Yeah, I have to go put my children to sleep, but I I'm sure that you have many important things to discuss. But yeah, just stay in contact and let me know how I can help.
Will do. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
All right.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Our next thing, our business of order was someone named Lorenzo Numerosi, but he is not here. I contacted him at his O'Malley school address, which rejected me promptly, probably because stranger danger.
Yep.
And then the mayor said that she would reach out to his mother, but I didn't hear back. But anyway, he is an 8th grade student. This is what he says in his email. Dear Mayor Safathia, my name is Lorenzo Numerosi. I'm an 8th grade student at O'Malley Middle School. We're doing a project in social studies for global human rights. The topic I picked is racial inequality. I would like to ask you a question about racial inequality in Gloucester. Do you know of any problems of racial inequality in our city? If so, how can the city address the issue and bring our community together? I think if the leaders and community of our city show how important this issue is, then our community will also. Sincerely, Lorenzo Numerosi. I thought would be interesting is the survey that the Gloucester Racial Justice Team put out. And I had asked Michelle to talk about that if they have things back yet. So if they have their information back yet, and hopefully she'll be able to get on with the new link that I sent her. So we'll wait if we hear anything from Mr. Numerosi, and I will let you know. But we thought it'd be a good idea to invite him in. So maybe he'll come next month, even though school will be over by then. But perhaps he'll still be interested, which would be great. Okay, our next order of business is the civility resolution update. And I sent everyone a copy, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Did you want me to share the screen on that, or do you have your own copies handy?
I
What
don't
works?
have, you know.
Okay, I'll share the screen. Oh, it's disabled, Holly.
I have no idea how to fix that.
Okay.
Let's see.
Can you share, Holly?
I don't have a share button.
Oh, okay.
Let me keep looking for, I've got some more, I don't know.
I'm happy to read it aloud too. Sarah helped me as well. Sarah, thank you for that, for your feedback.
No problem.
Shall I just read the revised version to you all?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, so it says, number 1, whereas the Gloucester community is a unique and special one with a long history, we recognize the need to work towards an inclusive and equitable community. 2, whereas in collaboration with the mayor and city administration, the city council is proud to continue our community spirit by honoring our commitments to inclusivity, equity, and safety for all in our community, especially those who have historically been ignored, marginalized, or discriminated against. 3, whereas any acts of violence, discrimination, or harassment do not reflect the values of the Gloucester community and will not be tolerated. We are committed to examining ourselves, our community, and to eradicating any instances of intolerance. And 4, whereas the Gloucester Police Department is committed to taking all allegations seriously and will work diligently to investigate any claims of discrimination. And then therefore the undersigned agree to the tenets laid forth in this document. Are there any changes that anyone is interested in making?
Can you read
Sounds
that,
good.
oh, can you read that eradicated line one more time?
Yes, number 3, whereas any acts of violence, discrimination, or harassment do not reflect the values of the Gloucester community and will not be tolerated. We are committed to examining ourselves, our community, and to eradicating any instances of intolerance.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. So is everyone okay with that?
Fine.
All right. So do we want to move to take a vote on the resolution?
Yes, I propose that we, by roll call, accept the paper as rewritten.
Okay, great. Tony,
Approve?
Mayuza,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes,
Paul,
Yes,
Sarah,
Yes.
and Hannah. Yes. Okay, so we'll send that to Jen, and she can get that over to O&A. All right. Our next order of business is the Gloucester 400 update. Nikki, did you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I had the opportunity to do one of the Gloucester 400 interviews, which was a great experience. I interviewed Susie Natty about, many, many, many decades of Finns in Lanesville. And so I kind of got connected with the project through Laura Ventimiglia. But I was here, and I know I missed one meeting, but I was here when Hannah Krieger, who's a resident of Gloucester, called in. She's on the racial justice team as well, and called in. And I think my understanding is that she really wanted to say, as the Human Rights Commission, how will you address issues of diversity and inclusion in the Gloucester 400 project? So I think that's the question before us. At least that's my understanding. And I was looking at their homepage, and I'm going to just read this just for food for thought for us. But the mission of the Gloucester 400 project is to celebrate, commemorate, and promote knowledge of Gloucester and 400 years of social, cultural, and economic diversity. So certainly it has the language there, that we really want to kind of parse out and look at and see what our role might be. So I told Laura via email that we were going to discuss it and think about how we might want to approach, collaborating really with the Gloucester 400 people. So I don't necessarily have an idea of how we want to start to do that, but I think we should discuss it. Their next meeting actually is on Wednesday. And, if we had something to report, I could certainly make some suggestions for their meeting.
Well, I think that, one thing as we look at, the 400th, and, I certainly, when I attended the Cape Ann Museum webinar they did on African Americans in Essex County, and on the Cape Ann slavery work that's been done, is one thing is to be celebrating, but it's another thing is to acknowledge, what has happened.
Yeah.
So, and I know that when it comes to celebration, we want to celebrate all the one, but it's acknowledging, just like, acknowledging Gloucester's role in the slave trade. That was, it was an eye opener for me, and recognizing that, and the role of that. I know nothing about what happened with, with the indigenous people here in Cape Ann, and what happened in the history. So I think the point is that while they're working on looking at all the wonderful things, but within our 400 years, we've had things that need to also be part of our history and acknowledge and bring it out. Because I think that's where, as we're learning about social justice, and for people who have, African Americans, Black Americans, the indigenous, and their history has not been really for 400 years of a lot of celebration, and to ignore that part is something that they want us to, I think the Gloucester 400th should incorporate into the celebration. So while they have that one, that the mission statement, which is the, like in the celebration, but I think looking at also including that part of our history.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I was actually just reading, I was Googling around, and I was just reading about, and I didn't get all the details, but it was a project like this in some town or city in Maine. And that was one of the key components, was to look at the whole project through the eyes of, just acknowledging our racist past and our racist history. So I really agree with that.
Well, I can't help but wonder, as someone who's involved in a variety of conservation groups, is what about the impact of being a whaling community? Now where fisheries have to be shut down temporarily, that people had to convert to new gear because the already endangered whale species were being further threatened. And I've often thought about that, living here and living elsewhere in the state, and working in places extensively like New Bedford. I find that part of the history, Herman Melville aside, I find it a little distressing. And I wonder if there's some way of acknowledging that, within a statement perhaps of a commitment to ecological balance and preservation of endangered species. Any thoughts?
I think those are good points. What about starting a group of us, whoever is interested in doing it, and researching this and, like you said, collaborating, Nikki, with the Gloucester 400 on it.
Yeah,
And I think also collaborating with the racial justice team, however, because that just makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and also working with the people who've been working so hard on the Gloucester 400th, and how making sure it's like, you don't want to have all of a sudden come in and go, oh, wait a minute now, have you forgot about this? Have you forgotten about that? And you don't want to, like, all of a sudden you're coming in, well, gee, you didn't have pull the wool off your eyes on these kind of things, but yet recognizing that this is as equally important. So, and I think that, I don't know, having maybe the opportunity of maybe talking to them, and then instead of just having them come to one of our meetings and all of a sudden you just start asking questions about, well, what about the slave trade? What about this? You don't want to put people on the spot, because it's, as we know, as we've been learning that, that people haven't thought about it. It's not like all of a sudden you don't want people to feel like guilty, but it's acknowledging history so that we can recognize the pain that we've been going through. But because you didn't know it, then you don't want to, because that can create a lot of hurt feelings, I think.
Yeah. Right. So it's important to point these out, right? The history of the fishing industry is the history of slavery, right?
Yeah.
So, but exactly.
It's amazing to learn about how much the slave trade in the Unitarian Church, how much they funded that. It was like, whoa.
Yeah. So who's interested in being on a committee for that?
Certainly would be.
Okay, Tony.
Yep, I would be as well.
Nikki. And anyone else? I'm happy to do that with you. How about that? Okay.
And do you think we should reach out to somebody, or I'm not sure, how should we proceed with the members of the racial justice team? Should we tell them or communicate with them that we're embarking on some of this research? And
Yeah.
I'm not sure who chairs that group.
I could
There is a
just
chair.
Okay. I'm just writing a note to myself to just reach out to somebody there. And is Hannah Krieger was the woman who popped into our meeting, right?
Correct.
Who introduced this?
Yeah.
So maybe try to get her contact.
Yeah.
And maybe she could join us as well. Because I mean, it's a lot of research, right?
Yeah,
But I kind of
but
love
there's
research.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some time. I think I could probably find Hannah's contact information.
Okay. I
Hannah
have a
Krieger.
few emails.
Oh, yeah,
from-
you're all set then. That's great.
So
Yeah.
I'll just reach out. And of course, Michelle's on there too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's that.
By the way, I've lost my video feed here, but can you hear me?
We can hear
Yes.
you, and that's a lovely photo of you.
I've also lost my video feed for some reason. It's blocking me. So sorry. It wasn't on purpose.
Sarah,
Okay.
your photo is not
No
as lovely.
No
as Paul's.
photo, Sarah.
I know. I know photo and no video, but I'm here.
Yeah, good. I was trying to remember the name of the woman who did, in collaboration with the Gloucester and I think also maybe Rockport UU Church, did an extensive presentation on the history of exploitation and enslavement on Cape Ann.
They have a great
did-
website.
They have a great, yeah.
What's the website? Do you know?
I think it's capeannslavetrade.org or
Something like that.
Okay, I'll look for it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It'll pop up. Okay, so we have to vote on our committee.
Oh, just quick, I know like we had a little early discussion, but we haven't heard about anybody applying on the Disabilities Commission.
No. We'll still plug away.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, have we done it much with the social media yet or?
Oh yeah, Sarah, how did that go?
Sorry, I have not done social media outreach yet. That's on
That's
me.
okay.
No, it's not ideal. I'll
Oh.
follow up with you after this.
Okay, yeah, no worries. We'll figure this out. It's gonna work out. I'm determined.
Yeah, we just have to keep banging the drum. And I think now,
Yeah.
especially that, with the, people being vaccinated and people feeling more comfortable, there might probably been hesitancy about, being part of in meetings and although we're on Zoom, I think that people who would maybe have thought about it doing before, but just, given, the pandemic we were living in.
Right. Can we vote on the committee for the Gloucester 400 research? Yes. Let's see, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, Mayuza,
Yes.
Nikki,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Paul,
yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Hannah, yes. Okay. There, we have a committee, like magic. All right. Do we have any other business to bring up? None. Okay, so,
Hi,
yep.
I'd just like to update on a driver's license for undocumented immigrants. So
Oh,
the-
yes.
yeah, the hearing's gonna be next week on 23rd. 23rd, I think, and 24th of June. It's gonna be the hearing. So if you can send an email to the legislators, supporting the bill, that'll be a big help.
Will you send us the information on that and where to send it to, Mayuza?
I'll
Okay.
send.
Great.
Do we know what the position of our two elected officials are on the bill?
As far as I know, they're not supporting the bill yet.
Okay.
But I'm trying to have a meeting with them and the mayor before the hearing. So I'm waiting for the mayor to see if she can get the meeting for us, just quick meeting, just to talk about and see if we can.
So then I guess also maybe as individuals, then we could also send an individual, not,
Yes,
but individual emails or letters to our elected officials.
yeah, to the elected official, if you could do to the speaker, the house.
And the Speaker of the House, yeah.
Yeah, just pick up the house, that's a big help. I can send to you the copy of the bill if you guys want to take a look
Yeah,
about it.
that'd be great.
That'd be good.
Send it to you.
And
Okay,
then we can ask others to make
Yeah.
calls or send emails as well.
that'd be great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
I
you.
just have one quick question back to the Disability Commission. So if I'm just starting to think, kind of like Tony said, just kind of keep working on coming up with ideas. So if I were to do some outreach, like I was thinking I would send an email to the Domestic Violence Coalition. We have a lot of members, to see if anybody has any ideas. Who would I have them? What would be the best way to tell them? Who would they communicate with if they had somebody who might be interested?
They could send anything to me. That's fine.
Okay.
And then I'll-
Actually, I believe they send a letter of intent with a copy of their resume to the mayor's
Yeah,
office, and
Okay.
she'll put them on.
perfect.
They should definitely CC Hannah so we know what's going on, but they should send it to the mayor.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
that's correct.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Holly. Okay, our next meeting is July 12th. I will not be here. I will be in steamy Sarasota, Florida in July.
Oh,
I would be happy, of course, to facilitate the meeting while you're gone, Hannah.
Great. And can we get someone to take notes if you're facilitating? Does anybody volunteer
I'll
to
keep
take
the
notes?
notes.
Okay, thanks so much, Tony. I will be at doing research at Moat Marine Laboratory. Yeah, so that should be cool. Reading through dive logs. It's good stuff.
Great.
All the sharks. Okay, so our next meeting is July 12th. Let's see. No business left for anyone.
No,
All right, so I move to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, and we'll roll call out. Tony,
Present.
Mayuza? Okay, Nikki,
yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
and Hannah. Yes. All right, so we officially adjourn at 6:17, 6:18,
6:17.
6:17 p.m.
Yeah.
All right. That was a great,
Everybody have a great 4th of July.
you all too. Yeah, thank
Thank
you
you.
all for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Hey,
Thank
take
you.
care,
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Good to
Bye.
see you all. Be well.
Joe.